So as the deity AI is beginning to immediately settle their second city, we're kind of seeing where these nations are going to kind of form and where exactly they're going to stay for the rest of the game, because that second city really kind of tells a lot about most of the empires we're going to see within this campaign. So as we can see in the British Isles, things have settled down. I'm really interested to see which civ is going to get into Ireland first. More than likely, it looks like Elizabeth is going to get there first, and she's going to have access to a lot of pearls. As well as the deer, the amount of food that is within Southern Ireland is pretty good. She'd have access to a river. That would be interesting. I don't think the Celts know exactly that Ireland is over this way. I think they're too focused on these crabs. They actually might even settle another city up north, or maybe in Scandinavian regions. Now, in terms of the Scandinavian region, though, we saw in part 1, we saw that Denmark got totally blocked here, and Sweden automatically went with just the super douchebag move. I mean, really strategic, very, very smart, and I think, within the first few videos, we can kind of almost count out Denmark. Denmark already doesn't start this game off with a very good unique ability, to be kind of stuck with only one city for who knows how long. I'm sure probably a pretty long-ass time. He's going to have to it's going to take him a while to get the technology for his units to be able to embark, and he might not even get into Europe. He might say it's just a one city for the next maybe 50 turns. I mean, because who knows where the cultural boundaries of Sweden are going to grow. He could totally lock off. Sweden could totally lock off Copenhagen, and Denmark, I think, from one video is already gone. Now, an interesting region that I've been talking about quite a lot I talked about this quite a lot in part 1, is the Iberian Peninsula. This is a really, really interesting location just because these two civs are locked off. It's 1v1. 1v1, bro. Portugal versus Spain. Now, as you can see, Spain immediately went for eastern Iberian Peninsula, and they're going to grab a lot of crabs, and I actually think that was probably the best choice for them. Even though we talked about the Rock of Gibraltar being done just down south here, we know that the AI doesn't function well with a lot of gold. They just don't know how to manage it. So I think they went with the right location. The only problem is if Portugal and Maria decides to, be totally a douchebag and grabs the Rock of Gibraltar from Isabella. We could see that. We definitely could possibly see that, and I am sure that we're probably going to start to see Portugal and Morocco. Morocco has also got their second city up, and it is a coastal city, which is interesting. As we know, these two regions, Portugal and Morocco, very good at trade routes. That's their unique ability. They've got a lot of, they're geared towards trade routes, and we might see a lot of trade between these two. It's interesting that also they didn't settle Porto on the coast, which is an interesting choice. They decided to go for the river and the double wheat. Actually, they might even get 3 wheats. More than likely, they will. They're going to get horses, but yeah, they actually, I think they're just outside of range of these pearls. Interesting choice there to settle Porto. We're going to have to double check on that region later on. Carthage, again, is a favorite, I think, to be one of the biggest civilizations within this game. She does have her second city, and I think she is going to focus mostly on Northern Africa for now. I don't think, even though we did predict that she might go up into maybe Sardinia, maybe Sicily, but I think she's going to probably kind of go and grab these 2 dyes, the gems. I mean, there's a lot of extra luxuries out here for her. Actually, maybe not the cotton. The cotton is too much in the middle of the desert, I believe. And in terms of score, technically, I mean, this doesn't really mean that much because we're so early on, but in terms of score, William has actually pulled ahead at 77 points. I mean, he's not necessarily doing amazing, but he does have 2 cities down, and I think, I'm guessing maybe his population is number 1. I mean, who knows how the score really functions. It's only turn 13. You can't really base anything on score just yet. Now, the Ottomans, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen, the interaction between the Ottomans and Greece and the Ottomans and Babylon. We talked about in part 1 that we really think that the Ottomans are going to be the only civ that has the possibility of stopping Babylon because they're the only ones that can reach them. It's going to be interesting, but the thing about Babylon is that they are one of those civs that get better with time. Just like Poland, just like my favorite Poland, they're going to get better with time. Babylon doesn't start off super strong, although when they get up the Great Walls of Babylon, and they get up their unique units, they do have some very good archers. They can defend their territory very well. the Ottomans are going to have to throw a lot at them. Their Janissaries could be pretty useful. Their Janissaries could be pretty damn useful, but that's not going to be until the middle of the game when Babylon really starts to begin, I guess, their unique ability, and that's going to be big for them. Their unique ability is going to be pretty huge for them. Right in the middle of the game is when I think Babylon begins to really break out. Good. I think Arabia, I'm definitely somewhat rooting for Arabia here. I like their location. More than likely, I'm not entirely sure what the strategical resources are of this map. Again, I don't have a lot of experience with this particular mode. I do have experience playing with the AI in a certain, in a European region, but in terms of this map mod, I don't know exactly where the strategic resources are going to end up. More than likely, I think we can all assume, it's safe to assume that there's going to be a lot of oil within this region. So, I mean, that will give Arabia and Mecca plenty of chances to maybe either sell those oils or sell the oil or do some other things. Also, speaking of I guess cargo ships, Arabia is going to do very good at that as well. Caravans, cargo ships, trade routes in general, they are a very good civ for that whole thing. As well as we can't forget about their camel archers. They're strong, but the AI isn't super good at using them, which is important. Greece is also going to get themselves it looks like a natural wonder. What exactly? Oh, that's going to give them 5 science. Wow, that's pretty good for Athens there. Athens, actually, you know what? Looking at Athens' location, they don't have the best starting point. They start off with gems and deer. They don't have any of the crabs. They do have crabs, and they're probably going to get access to maybe 2 crabs. They're okay. It's not the best, though, and they're really limited here. The Greeks, I think, are not going to do very well in this, unfortunately, just because they're locked off by a lot of the city-states. A lot of the city-states within the Balkans have really taken over a lot of their spots. And Greece's unique ability is tended to be friendly towards city-states. So I doubt that they're going to go to war with Sofia, Belgrade, Ragusa. I don't think we're going to see any of those wars happen just because Alexander tends to be very friendly towards these city-states. Also, I should check the victory conditions a bit here. More than likely, I don't think a diplomatic victory is possible. I think that there are too many civilizations, and I think that too many city-states are going to get wiped out from at some point within this game. Also, Florence has yet to settle their city. More than likely, someone's just going to wipe them out at some point. Oh, so the first Pantheon has actually been discovered by Arabia. I actually predicted that it would be the Celts that would get the first Pantheon, but it looks like Arabia has got it up first. They chose to go with Goddess of Protection, which is going to give them more city range combat. Interesting choice there, Arabia. That was not necessarily the right choice. I don't think the AI realizes that they're surrounded by so much desert. They could have really benefited by going Desert Folklore. I think that we can safely assume that Egypt is going to get Desert Folklore first. It's going to be interesting. That's an interesting Pantheon choice. It's not going to give them much, faith back. So I don't necessarily know how good that's going to be for them. Now, they have access to the Great Barrier Reef, which is going to give them some more science, some food, some production, and some gold. I did check over the break. There is a total of 6 religions that can be finished. My predictions will be, I'm guessing, Egypt, Arabia, the Celts. Who else is good at forming religions? I can't really think about it off the top of my head. How is Copenhagen doing? Yep, they still haven't settled their city. I don't think they really know what to do with their settler right now, which is unfortunate. But those are the big religious civs that I think we could see a pretty big impact. Now, France has settled Orleans. They could definitely dip into the British Isles here. They could kind of reach out and steal some lands away. They probably will steal maybe some of these fish tiles away. Whether they can work it or not doesn't really matter, but they do have a coastal city up. Oh my gosh, I just totally ripped a gnarly, gross burp. I am a disgusting human being right now. It's interesting that France settled their coastal city rather than that's good. That's good for the AI. That was the smart choice rather than setting somewhere in a non-coastal region. That's going to help out them. That's going to help out their navy. Although it does give Elizabeth access to possibly making an invasion on France and taking over Orleans. We have to be very, very careful with we don't have to be very, very careful, but the AI has to be very, very careful of Elizabeth because she's going to get the ship of the lines. And again, ship of the line. And we don't know if I assume that she's going to have iron access. More than likely, she's going to have access to some sort of iron, and she's going to need that if she's going to want to build her ship of the line. So that will be a pretty interesting choice. Venice, on the other hand, has still not they haven't decided to steal any of the city-states away. I think that the AI might be a little bit confused here with the Alps. I think they might have some difficulty exploring. Of course, the AI will not ever go through city-state lands. I don't know why. I have no idea why. And yeah, so I'm not sure how fast Venice is going to steal away the next city-state, but it's going to be very interesting which city-state they do choose. I imagine it might be Ragusa, but I think the favorite might be Milan at the same time. Could they technically... Yeah, Milan, look how close Milan is. Venice is actually in a pretty tough spot, just because Milan is only 2 tiles away from their capital. Venice's capital. Oh, and the second Pantheon has been finished, Egypt, and they did choose, like we predicted, Desert Folklore. So yeah, Egypt is going to have probably the best religion in this game. Venice is going to be at a very tough spot, depending on a few things. Now, Antium here by Rome, they did settle that coastal, so Venice will really be able to kind of benefit from that. Also, Ragusa is a coastal city, so we have to remember that Venice is going to get up twice the amount of trade routes up, and hopefully for their sake, they're going to be cargo ships. It's interesting because Greece didn't decide to settle on the western half here of the Balkans and Greek lands. They didn't decide to go for these pearls. They might still do that, and depending on how much Carthage expands, we might see more and more help for Venice and Venetian Empire to expand in terms of their trade routes and their cargo ships. Let's focus on, oh wow. Okay, so again, the most, I think, like I said, like I've been saying, the most interesting region here in this map is going to be between Maria and Spain. And Isabel. It looks like Portugal is going to, in fact, steal away the Rock of Gibraltar. However, Isabel already has her third settler up as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I'm assuming that Portugal is going to settle their third city there, stealing away the Rock of Gibraltar, meaning that Portugal is going to be a pretty big beast in terms of economy. She's going to be pretty powerful herself because of her cargo ships that she's going to get ultimately. That'll be good. Russia actually got the next Pantheon, and that's actually she got the Messenger of God, which is going to give her more science. Okay, interesting. I'm surprised the Celts haven't got it up yet. That's interesting, and that's also what she said. So there it goes. Braga has just been settled. They're going to grab the Rock of Gibraltar, and I assume... more than likely, Isabella is going to settle somewhere up toward these mountains. For their sake, it could be good. Grabbing the mountain and the river would be a pretty good location by the AI, as well as access to these 2 silk and the gems. And they actually would even have access to these dyes. That'd be pretty good for them. Oh, and the first Elizabeth has been the first one to enter into the classical era. Don't worry, I'm not focusing on the on the info addicts too much just yet. There really isn't much to look at in the info addicts right now, so I'm going to kind of avoid it maybe until turn 25. I mean, really, we're just starting off, so Info Addicts isn't going to show us that many interesting things, but don't worry, I will definitely be focusing on Info Addicts within, as this campaign gets older and older. So, I guess not necessarily older and older, but as we get further and further within this campaign, the Ottomans, wow. The Ottomans went for the fertility rites. That's going to give them 10% faster growth rate. Now, that's not necessarily the greatest. Oh my gosh, the Ottomans have 2 more settlers. The Ottomans are going to be very expansive. Holy shit. And Morocco's gotten up the first wonder, the Temple of Artemis. That's going to... The Temple of Artemis, actually. Temple of Artemis, that gives them even more food. Temple of Artemis is a pretty good wonder to get up. I think it could have been... Okay, we just got Golden Age. That is a glitch. I mean, when you're trying to do some AI-only battles, you got to do some funky shit. Trust me. We'll get into that later, how I was able to kind of turn this, I guess make this happen. But anyways, okay, so my point is, Solomon already has 2 settlers. My prediction did come true. However, choosing that Pantheon, giving them more food, 10% more food, is an interesting choice. I don't necessarily want them to play this very tall. I want them to play this very wide. I want them to stop Nebuchadnezzar from growing at all cost. If he could steal away these southern lands, which more than likely Solomon has no idea what is down here, but if he could steal away these lands, it would really take away a lot of the power from Nebuchadnezzar and what Babylon has currently. Another Pantheon. How many more Pantheons do we have? Babylon has 1. They actually went for Faith Pure Quarry. and they're gonna be able to build a. Well, actually, wait a second. Interesting choice. They only have one marble resource. They'll be able to kind of build wonders a little bit quicker within the first 2 eras. Until the classical era, they'll be able to build a few wonders, which actually could be bad if they get up the Great Library. They could start off as a tech leader and only kind of make that worse and worse. So yeah, we have people with the most shiny things. This isn't really going to do much for us. Yeah, so Babylon having access to marble is interesting, and it may mean it could be bad. It only gives them even more benefits earlier on, which they don't need because they're going to have all those benefits later on in the game. You know what I didn't check on? If Egypt has access to. They don't. I was wondering if Egypt had their own access to marble, but they don't. So that should slow down their wonder whoring somewhat. I don't know exactly how much that's going to stop their wonder whoring, but yeah. And as we can see, if we look around the minimap here, we are starting to see a lot of the AIs begin to form their third city. Poland is out on a fast start with their third city. I'm not sure if they were the first to get their third city up. Portugal, Poland, and who's the other one that we just saw? Oh, the Ottomans technically don't have their third city. So it looks like actually Portugal and Poland are among the first 2 civs to get up their third city. Interesting. I'm not sure if that's going to really tell a lot. And as we look around at the AI and what they've got going on, it doesn't look like a lot of the other Europeans don't have any other settlers. Oh, actually, you know what? Elizabeth might be discovering Ireland really quick right now. But yeah, a lot of the other European settlers, or a lot of the other European powers don't have their settlers. Now, the key thing about Sweden actually has a very good and interesting location as well, who they might do pretty good for themselves. They do have a natural wonder up north, which is going to give them 11 gold. It's a lot of gold. They also have a lot of silk up here, access to furs, whales, some gems. Because they completely cock-blocked Denmark and Harald Bluetooth, Sweden has an opportunity to be really, really powerful because Russia more than likely, oh my gosh, look at these amount of truffles up here. Russia more than likely will not focus too much in the Scandinavian region. So Sweden really has anywhere that they can grow. Technically, Sweden should be considered some of my exterior civs from Europe. Kind of the group that I kind of settled as Carthage, Morocco, Egypt, Arabia, Babylon, Russia. Sweden does technically kind of fall within that category of being, that. Oh, actually, you know what? Maybe not, because Denmark actually managed to squeeze their settler through Stockholm and Sigtuna, and they might actually grab this natural wonder away from them. That would mean that whole strategy that I just talked about for Sweden would be kind of gone. It looks like it is. They won't technically be an exterior civilization because they won't technically, they might be stuck within Scandinavian regions. I guess I should kind of pick, well, I did technically. I picked my favorite, but I was thinking about maybe picking my favorite in particular to enter into Europe, inside of Europe. I mean, I'm talking about civs like the Celts, Elizabeth, I guess England, France, the Netherlands, Germany, Austria, Venice, Rome. The traditional European. I haven't really chose. I know Poland is in Europe, but I should probably pick one right in the clusterfuck of things. And actually, Isabel still hasn't settled their third city. They might now. They might just now. Looks like they are going to decide to grab the extra silk here and go for the fish tile. Interesting choice. They could have had a better location, but you know what? They are going to lock off the Iberian Peninsula, at least this location, from France. France can still technically go up north in between these ocean tiles and this mountain tile, but I don't think he's ever going to figure out what the hell's over here, at least for a very, very long time. Really quick, in terms of score, looks like that is Morocco that has taken a step up, and I believe it's probably because of the wonder. Wonders give you a big boost in score, so I'm assuming because of the wonder that they just built is why they really kind of jumped out there. Solomon as well. Solomon just got up his third city, and he's actually going to get up his fourth city very soon. Yeah, look, there's his fourth city about to get settled right now. Solomon, you have such a big impact on this game. I don't think the Ottomans are going to win this game, but the Ottomans have a very, very big opportunity to stopping Babylon from winning this game and giving all the other AIs a chance. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how he deals with Nebuchadnezzar, and hopefully he deals with them sooner rather than later. Anyways, guys, I'm going to have to stop right there. We've made a lot of progress. As I said, we're going to kind of be going through the the turns quite quickly, kind of focusing on certain regions each turn, focusing on, you know, what certain AIs are deciding to go for. But as we can see, I mean, it's only turn 28 and all this stuff has happened. It's 2,880 BC, and many cities have already been formed. We're seeing these nations begin to form, and it's looking pretty interesting. We're going to have a really, really interesting game on our hands here. I'm really excited, guys. I hope you guys are as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.